Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michael Carr. I'm with Pat Carr here.
Good afternoon, everybody.
And we're here today to talk about the topic of product liability law. And what product liability law is essentially where if you've been injured by a product that is unreasonably dangerous and defective, then you could have a claim against the person who sold the product, manufactured the product, designed the product, or even distributed the product. All you have to do is show that the product was defective and unreasonably dangerous.
And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today is what is unreasonably dangerous. And basically, it's more dangerous than the ordinary consumer in the community would expect. Now, not every product can be perfectly safe. Well, we know kitchen knives are going to be unsafe. That's just the way they are. But not every product is inherently dangerous in all ways you use it. And some products we really expect are going to be fairly safe. But if they turn out to be unreasonably dangerous, that is more dangerous than the ordinary person in the community would expect, then if somebody's hurt, you might have a claim that a good products liability lawyer could help you with. So what we thought we'd do today is just kind of show a few products that we've come across in our practice that turned out to be unreasonably dangerous. And so this will give you an idea, and maybe an idea of how to keep yourself and your family safe.
And just remember, if you've been injured by a product or device that you feel was defective and caused you harm, you can just give us a call here at the office. Tulsa office is 918-747-1000. Even if you're outside that 918 area code, you can call that number and we can help you out no matter where you live. And so the first product is a food processor that we handled a case on. What happened here is that there's a lid to this food processor, and when you take the lid off, you'll see a blade. Let's picture a blade. There's a blade inside this bowl, and so what happens is the food processor is plugged in. It's turned off.
And there's supposed to be a safety switch.
Yeah, and
so when you take this off, it can't.
Yeah, so there's supposed to be a device in the food processor that when you take this lid off, the blades cannot rotate. The food processor cannot turn on. That's the point of the safety device. But what happened was, problem with this food processor led to its recall, is that when people put the blade in, there's a device inside the food processor that caused it to turn on, which caused the blades to start spinning at rapid speeds. It would lead to dozens of people getting their fingers chopped off. Now,
so that makes it pretty unreasonably dangerous.
Makes it very unreasonable. That's an example of unreasonably dangerous product. Now, one thing that came up in this case is sometimes product manufacturers will say, "Well, you misused the product. We had something in the instruction manual that said, don't put your hand in the bowl of the food processor ever, and therefore, if a consumer did that, the consumer's at fault." Well, the law protects the consumer in that instance. The law states that the manufacturer, the seller, designer is still liable if the consumer misuses the product in a foreseeable way. So in this instance, there was something buried in the instruction manual stating, do not put your hand in the bowl of the food processor. Even when it's off, don't do it. Well, it was foreseeable that sometimes a consumer might do that, especially
because they had a safety switch on it.
Yeah, the consumer's relying on the safety switch. They're relying that the product's going to work the way the product advertises it to work. And so we're able to get around that defense. And so this is an example of a product that is unreasonably dangerous. We were able to help our clients out against the seller of the food processor and the distributor.
So if you guys have any questions, just send it to us and we'll see if we can help you out with it. Now, this is another one. This is a little toy that you can get for a little toddler or a baby in bed. Just kind of hang over, makes a nice little sound, and toddlers reach up and they play with this. So if they grab this, now here's what makes it unreasonable. They pull on this and bingo.
Oh,
look what's there.
Some spikes there.
Now, and that is, I would call that unreasonably dangerous.
Well, spikes and kids is not a good combination.
Yeah, so that was not a good product to have around your baby. So anyway, you definitely wouldn't want to have this.
Mm-mm.
So and that turns out to be, most people would consider to be unreasonably dangerous. So I just set this aside right there.
That's very dangerous.
Here's another one, which now let's play like you're at a family gathering and you have something like this. Now most little kids would look at this and think, well, that's apple juice. A lot of people would, but it turns out to be torch fuel, which you use in torches at family gatherings, and it burns and gives off a nice light. Well, that's the problem with this. It tended to look like torch fuel, and if you had little kids around, that makes it unreasonably dangerous, I think, for families. And so you have to watch out for something like this. Now, what the industry did was eventually change the color to this, which makes for a much less dangerous kind of product to have around. But anyway, that is another example of something like that. So, oh, this is one which I thought was a pretty interesting little case. I call this the exploding frying pan. And it's a nice looking frying pan. This is the one that actually blew up. I don't know exactly what happened to that one, but it couldn't find it this morning, so I want to give you an example. This is the same type of product, and it's pretty nice. You can see it's got a copper bottom to it. Well, the problem was where the metal of the pan itself was affixed to the copper. Sometimes if this seal isn't 100% all the way around here, you can get dishwasher fluid to get in. If you wash it, you get water to get in here. And if it accumulates, and then you put it back on the burner on your stove, and you're like cooking bacon or something like this, and it finally it blows up because the water turns to steam, gets hot grease all over you. So that's unreasonable. Most people think that would be unreasonably dangerous. Mm-hmm. So there you go on that.
One other product, we have a couple more to show, but another product that we've handled here that's been in the news a lot over the last few years is dressers tipping over, especially on children. What happens in those instances is a child will pull out the bottom drawer of a dresser, climb on that bottom drawer, which will cause the dresser, in some instances, to tip over, fall on the child, and even kill the child. We've had a case like that. And so there's been a lot of lawsuits about that, and the reason why that kind of dresser would be unreasonably dangerous is that a dresser, and it's foreseeable that a child may at some point get on the bottom drawer of a dresser, and so the dresser should be manufactured in a way that it cannot easily be tipped over. So that's an example of another kind of product.
Are we getting any questions, Michael? I can't quite see that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, one person had a very good comment about our spike toy. Said that there should never really be a toy for kids where you're going to get spikes out there. I mean, this could obviously go into someone's kid's eye. The kid, if it's a violent type of child, because it stab another child. And
a lot of little kids are rambunctious.
Oh, they're rambunctious. They don't understand.
Yep, they don't. Okay, we want to talk about one other thing before we.
Sure.
This will probably get another idea. This is a potpourri pot, and I think a lot of people have used things like this where you put a little tea light in the bottom unit. I'll get this thing out. A little thing like this. Put the tea light in, light that, and you put it in there. Probably put it in first, then light it, and you put some kind of a liquid in here that will get off a nice odor when it heats up. You put it on like this, and it works. And you can see on the inside here, there's a glaze, but there's no glaze on the outside. Now, if you look at another type product, another tea light, this one is same overall concept, but it's got glazing on the outside also. So this is kind of like a double seal to prevent things from leaking from the inside down into the tea light here. The bottom. Well, what we had with this one was, if this isn't absolutely perfect and really thick on the inside, it can leach through and get down to the flame here. If there's any flammability to this liquid, it can blow up and create a real fire hazard, which it did in our client's situation. So that's another example of what a lot of people would consider to be an unreasonably dangerous product.
And there's all sorts of course, unreasonably dangerous products. One thing that we see a lot of is cars, so vehicles. So sometimes you'll have a vehicle that their airbag is defective, doesn't go off. You could have a vehicle that has a seatbelt that malfunctioned and didn't work. You could have a vehicle whose roof crushed in when it should not have. That can cause a lot of serious injuries and even death. So that's a type of unreasonably dangerous defective product that we see a lot of. And so if you've been injured by an unreasonably dangerous and defective product, you can, of course, file a lawsuit, make a claim against the seller, the manufacturer, the designer, anyone in the chain of distribution. And
Any other questions coming in?
I was going to finish one thought, and then when you do that, you can seek compensation for your medical bills, your pain and suffering, wages that you've lost. You can receive that kind of compensation against the those types of businesses or people. So there is someone said, what steps should I take if I or someone I know has been hurt by a product?
Well, one thing which you really need to do is preserve the product, because that's going to be the first thing we look at to see if we can figure out, well, was it defective? It's kind of like with this little thing over here. If for some reason you would have bought this, unfortunately, somebody in your family would have been hurt because of that, then we need this as evidence. And so you don't want to throw this away. You want to put it where it's going to be safe and out of everybody's reach. But you want to keep the product. That's the most important thing.
And another kind of question I get a lot of is people say, well, if my product hasn't been recalled, can I still have a lawsuit? Yes, we've had a lot of cases where someone's been injured by an unreasonably defective product, and the product is never recalled. Sometimes the product gets recalled after we file the lawsuit or in the end, but sometimes it doesn't. So whether or not the product's been recalled is not really a determining factor as to whether or not we think the product is unreasonably dangerous.
One thing I'd like to talk about as we kind of finish up is what can you do to protect yourself against the kind of consumer products I've seen here, we've showed you. One thing is if you just, as a matter of course, just look at publications like Consumer Product Safety Commission. You can visit their website, and they'll give you an idea of what's being recalled, what's dangerous out there. It's not like you're going to see any product you bought necessarily being recalled or talked about by the Consumer Product Safety Commission, but it'll get you an idea of what's happening out there, so you become a little more safety conscious. And then you can read Consumer Reports. That magazine gives a lot of information about it, and read the newspaper. So if you generally become, a little bit more aware of what things can happen out there, then you become a little more attuned to picking things out and seeing things that you otherwise might have missed.
So if you have any questions for us, or if you think that we may be able to help you, you can visit our website at carcar.com, where you can fill out a form, or you can give us a call, and we'd be happy to help. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk with you all later.
Thanks for tuning in. See you later.